Welcome back to the Purple Political Breakdown. How's it going? How's your day been? We're back at it again. Ladies and gentlemen, today's podcast episode should be a very interesting conversation, sharing a perspective that I don't really hear often, at the very least from this podcast, from allow him to share his own story and where he wants to come up with it. I think this would be a interesting conversation to kind of highlight this and kind of understand this kind of frame of mind, especially since people know that I talk with a lot of people. I am purple for the most part, but definitely in the last couple months, other than a few conversations, I don't typically talk with Trump supporters. So this should be, at the very least, interesting conversation. We'll see how everything plays out. But I'm allowing my guest to introduce himself. Who are you? What are you about? And why are you here?
My name is Matt Melvin. I wrote a book called Bullied Behind Bars, A Gay Christian Trump Supporter Goes to Prison. It chronicles my story, my life, how I grew up, being bullied throughout all of my childhood, and then being bullied behind bars. Why am I here? I'm trying to get on as many podcasts as possible to share my story.
Okay, fair enough. Before we dive into that story and extrapolate certain elements that I'm interested to, at the very least, understand, um, what makes you. I always ask this question because politics can be very toxic. It can be a lot sometimes dehumanizing. So I like to humanize my guests a little bit. What is a hobby or something that you do that makes you kind of relatable that other normal people do, whether it's like a fun activity or thing you watch, something like that.
I'm an ocean swimmer.
Okay, do you just like swim in the ocean? Is that it?
Yes, like going way out deep and swimming with freedom.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, well, let's get into it. Unless there's anything else you want to share other than swimming in the ocean.
Road trips, dining out, traveling.
Okay, just getting out there is what you're saying.
Yeah, being out in nature.
Being out in nature. Okay. I think those are things that normal people typically like to do. I'll give it. Um, so why do you believe this story that you want to share is valuable? I will admit this. It does come from a unique perspective, being Christian and gay and a Trump supporter. These are a very unlikely combination of traits. So, why, one, how did you arrive to this? And then, two, why do you want to get your story out in particular? You can do either one first, and we'll kind of dissect it.
I believe my story can resonate with anybody, whether you've been in prison or whether you haven't. Each person has experienced some type of trauma. And the key is how to overcome that trauma and look to the future rather than be stuck in the past.
Okay, expand on that more.
I know a lot of people that are in a prison in their mind because they hold on to hate, resentment, unforgiveness. Until I was able to forgive those people who had done me wrong, I was allowing people to live rent free in my head.
All right. So I'm trying to find out like the specific details that you're trying to resonate with the people with, because ultimately, when it comes down to this stuff, I do think forgiveness is an important trait. I think this can extend beyond like the Christian faith, even though that is the most prominent place it goes to, because Jesus Christ forgave everyone, especially in lieu of him sacrificing for his sins, for everybody's sins. If you're a Christian believer, I'm not Christian, I'm agnostic, but I do believe forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools a person can have to relate and to accept other people and who they are and what they've done to move forward in a like coexistence in a society with compromise and maybe even a society of peace. So this is an important trait. So other than that, when it comes down to this idea of like forgiveness and like pushing past this, what exactly in your story kind of illustrates that? What makes it stand out? And in particular, what about those traits that you have in particular that either makes this story different or at the very least tells a story that can maybe help bridge the political divide we have right now? Because as I said before, your qualities, these traits are they don't typically mix. I don't see a lot of gays and Christians and gays and Trump supporters mixing much. So um, tell me about that.
I think it's important for us to come together, to look past differences, and to find commonality
And how are you able to do that?
by coming on your show, coming on somewhat adversarial shows, rather than just going to shows that will um, are supportive of everything that I believe in. So I think it's important for all of us to be open to listen to other people's ideas, suggestions.
Okay, what ideas are you willing to listen to and digest?
I'm willing to listen to any idea. It doesn't mean I'm going to buy into it, but I'm always willing to hear another person out.
Okay. What are some prior ideas that you've heard, willing to listen out, and thought were reasonable, and then you thought were unreasonable in lieu of your what you've been through in your identity?
Initially, I thought that police officers were there to protect and to serve. And through my experience, I don't believe that. I believe they're the biggest cult in the country, and they only do this job to exert power and to move up within the organization. And it's a very heteronormative group.
Okay. All right. So I think this is where we should start off. So, your story in particular, can you outline what kind of got you here? What about your story made you want to start looking at the world this way and arrive to the destination to the point where you wanted to share your story with everybody else? What exactly have you been through?
I was in prison twice. The first time in 2004, I worked at a car dealership. They didn't pay me my commissions. I impulsively chose to try to sell one of their cars, got caught. Judge Jeffrey Crawford and Bob Wolford both decided I didn't meet the criteria to go through the mental health court, even though I've seen mental health providers my entire life. As a result, I went through the traditional court, came out with a record. In 2009, I couldn't pass a background check. I used other people's information. The government pursued me for 6 years, despite there being a 5-year statute of limitations. Spent about $500,000, went to 10 different grand juries throughout the state of Vermont. Finally got a grand jury indictment in 2016. Went to 10 different institutions for another 18 months. Wrote my story, was bullied, raped, assaulted by a sex offender, was writing my story, journaling throughout my whole entire time behind bars. Took another 2 years to get my story. So a total of 6 years to get my story finally out there. In February 22 is when I published my book.
Okay, it sounds like a lot of like negative circumstances were taking place. So how did you reach the conclusion of wanting to move past it and share a story of acceptance and forgiveness?
In February 2022, I started doing men's work, and that's where I was able to forgive other people and see other men do the same and find that we all have common ground.
Okay. And what kind of work did you do to kind of get you there?
It's called carpet work, where you go through your life story and find where your path led, and each man's path is a little bit different. But
Okay.
being able to be vulnerable with other guys who I don't know and share without Judgment is a very challenging thing to find because it's very easy to have judgment, but I leave judgment to God. It's not my job to judge another person.
All right. So in this situation, obviously, a lot of unfortunate things has happened. At what point did it start clicking to the point where you realized that Christianity is for you, and then what point did you realize being a Trump supporter is for you as well?
In August 2015, I had a near death experience. I was driving on 495 in the middle lane going 72 miles an hour, which is pretty slow for me. I've been known to go a lot faster than that. When an out of control driver came down an embankment, crossed in front of my car, but by the grace of God, I was saved, I was protected. And that was the moment I stopped being dishonest, turned my life over to God, and surrendered and stopped being a lukewarm Christian and started abiding by God and doing God's will rather than my own. Because I know when I do my own will, it's always wrong.
Okay. And what about the Trump supporter?
In August 2016, I volunteered for Trump in New Hampshire, knocking doors, went to rallies, loved it. It was fun, exciting, and wouldn't look back.
Well, why'd you rally for Trump?
I love what he stands for. He says he means what he says and says what he means, and that's what the Bible says.
I don't think that's what the Bible says from my interpretation, but all right. So my understanding is I understand why, like how you got to where you got, because I think it's like very natural. Ultimately, when it comes down to a circumstance like yours, being able to express yourself and realize, how some of these tough circumstances and what you've been through, kind of accepting it and moving on, and being able to really hear other people's stories makes you expand your perspective and resonate with the other people's emotions as well as other people's stories. So the understanding of forgiveness part makes sense to me. The Christianity part makes sense to me too. I'm agnostic, but I'm not saying I'm not against Christianity, especially since I grew up with it. But if you've been through a crash and you've been to this life altering moment, I can see why someone would kind of make the switch. And I'm good on you. Do what you got to do. You might be right. I might be wrong. I'm fine with that. The the part that doesn't make sense to me in this equation, though, is that the Trump stuff in particular, the especially considering, uh, you're for forgiveness, you're for acceptance, you want to abide by what like the teachings of Christianity, and I just don't think most of what Trump does abides by Christianity or abides by the idea that he wants to like forgive people, accept people. I just think those are incompatible.
I strongly disagree.
How so?
None of it is true. If Trump really didn't forgive his enemies, Hillary and Bill Clinton would be in jail right now, which is where they should be.
Why would you say that if you believe in acceptance and forgiveness?
Because they're killing people that go against their ideology.
Who are they killing?
There's been many people that have disappeared.
Like who?
I'm not sure their names. I'd have to research that.
Okay. But how do you know there's people who are
I don't know that. I've heard things.
Who'd you hear it from?
Reliable sources.
Like who?
Joe Rogan.
You heard it from Joe Rogan. What do you think about when Joe Rogan talks about how Donald Trump is acting like the Gestapo and rounding people up?
I don't really agree with that.
Isn't he a reliable source?
He is reliable in some instances, but I don't think any news person can be reliable 100% because they're always going to bring their opinion into the situation.
Well, why did you believe him about the Hillary and Bill stuff?
Because I think it's accurate.
Why?
A lot of people have disappeared under the Bill and Hillary regime.
what people?
I don't know that right now. That's not why I came on the show.
But you said a lot of people have disappeared.
Mhm.
So, but you don't know who the people are.
People have worked for them.
Have disappeared.
Theirs.
And how do you know that?
I don't know it for sure. I haven't talked to them. It would be what I would call hearsay, right? Just like hearsay is not allowed in the court of law.
So hearsay sometimes can be allowed. Who said it?
Who said what?
The hearsay.
That's the rule in any court of law, that hearsay is not admissible.
No, I meant like you said you heard it from hearsay. So someone had to say it. Who said it?
People I know.
So people told you this?
Correct.
Like friends, family?
Correct.
Okay. So friends or family told you stories that you couldn't verify about these individuals, which is okay. You ended up believing it. I will say this: if friends or family told you stories about Donald Trump, of negative things that he did, would you believe that, or would you need more information?
I need more information in both instances.
Okay. What makes it different from when stories are said about Trump versus stories said about Bill and Hillary? What's the difference to you?
There is no difference.
Okay.
They've defied several subpoenas to appear before the House, which is contempt. So they obviously think that they're above the law.
Okay. But at the end of the day, if you hear stories about Donald Trump doing X bad thing, and you said there's no difference between the information you're getting from about Trump versus Hillary and Bill, if you can't verify either, then why do you believe they should go to jail and not Trump?
They tried to lock him up. They hit him with 34 erroneous felony counts that were manufactured, weren't true, and then put him through a kangaroo court.
How do you know they were manufactured?
There's no evidence to support any of it.
What about the evidence of the people that said that he did it and the documents? Do you not believe that, or is that just created? What do you think about that?
Created.
It was created by who? Who created it?
Alvin Bragg and Letitia James.
They created false evidence to put Trump behind bars?
Correct.
Why did they do that?
Power, privilege, and justice.
Whose power, though?
Their power. Bill and Hillary Clinton's power. The propaganda machine's power.
So they did it for Bill and Hillary.
Bill and Hillary and George Soros.
And George Soros. So they did this to lock up Trump for power for Bill, Hillary, and George Soros. And locking up Trump would do that. Couldn't they just pick a different Republican candidate instead of Trump?
They could pick whoever they wanted, but they wanted Trump.
Right. So is Trump the only one that would have beaten Hillary? You think they're just scared of Trump in the election?
Yes.
Okay. So they were scared of Trump so much that they made up evidence to lock him up into jail. And your evidence of them doing all this corruption, what is that?
What is my evidence?
Yes.
They probably burned it.
How do you know they burned it?
Because they're very good at deception, dishonesty, covering up.
How do you know that?
How do I know it? I don't know it. We don't know a lot of things, just like you don't know a lot of the stuff that you've mentioned, for sure.
Like what? What don't I know?
What don't you know? You don't know who's to blame for a lot of the issues that are going on.
Like what?
Minneapolis, anything.
The videos? I didn't look at the videos.
The videos of the ICE agents.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't listen to your last recording.
Oh, okay. I was because you brought it up. I was just kind of interested about that. So, kind of retrack then a little bit is I'm really just trying to understand what the difference is between believing that Trump didn't do all his bad stuff and then the Dems were doing all their bad stuff. I'm just trying to see exactly the difference between the two. Like, what makes you really believe Trump not doing his criminal indictments, Trump not doing all this weird stuff that he's done with people in his past and friends he had, and Trump not doing the stuff he's doing now, but you do believe that the Democrats did it, but you don't have evidence for either. Like, what makes you believe Trump versus the other way around?
Because Trump is honest and he's admitted to things that he's done wrong in his past. The Democrats always blame other people. That's always the mantra of the Democratic Party. It's always somebody else's fault. I have never once heard a Democrat take ownership for anything that they've done.
You haven't heard a Democrat accept faults that they've done in the past,
Correct.
but you've heard Trump accept faults he's done in the past?
Some, yes.
Like what?
I mean, getting mixed up with Jeffrey Epstein was one.
He accepted that he got mixed up with Jeffrey Epstein?
He admitted that he spent some time with Jeffrey Epstein, and then once he figured out what he was all about, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago.
Okay. Why do you think he's not just releasing all the documents?
He is releasing all the documents. The people that are not releasing the documents are a judge in New York and a judge in Florida.
There's millions of documents that haven't been released.
Right. Well, the federal court judges, who the Democrats are running to, are preventing the release of the documents.
What do you say about Trump shifting blame, saying that he didn't want to release it because it's a Democratic hoax?
It was not a Democratic hoax. But if the Democrats were in power for 4 years and they had all this time to release the documents, instead, the Democrats were shipping in illegal immigrants to this country to illegally vote.
Okay. So why did he say that the Democrats are doing a hoax then?
I don't know why he said that.
Well, you don't know why he said that the Democrats thought this was a hoax, and then he was telling his people not to release the documents?
He released the documents. The documents are getting prevented from getting released by a judge in New York and a judge in Florida.
Okay. So why were they able to release the documents recently? The 5% of the documents recently.
Because a judge allowed it.
So why won't he release all of them?
He has authorized release of all of them. Look, they could have been released during the Biden administration and they weren't.
Right.
So why don't you address that? It seems like everything you do, it's always about Trump. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much the Democratic mentality. Never always shirk blame onto somebody else.
Well, he's the current president, right?
Right, but you had your friend Joe Biden in the Oval Office for 4 years and did nothing.
Yeah, he should have released all of it.
Trip over a whole bunch of stuff and make a fool out of this country. That's all he did.
Okay. So do you think Trump will release the rest of the millions of documents?
He will release them if a federal judge allows it.
So the federal judge allowed to release like 5% of the documents, but they're not allowing the rest of the documents, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Is it possible that Donald Trump doesn't want the documents to be released because it will harm some of his friends?
No, because the Democrats were in power for 4 years and they had every ample opportunity to release it. And you have to remember that the Democrats are like the Nazis. They always go in line with everybody else because they're controlled by a cult and they're not free thinkers.
It's kind of weird you would call like the Democrats and Nazis. I thought you were about like acceptance and
I am.
forgiveness. You call the whole party Nazis, right?
Well, they all vote in line. They're all told what to do and they vote in line.
Isn't that what MAGA does?
No, not even close.
Interesting. All right. So when it comes down to the Donald Trump and his friends, so Marjorie Taylor Greene said she actually had a private conversation with Trump, and that's what he told her, that he doesn't want it released because it's going to hurt his friends. Do you think she's lying?
Marjorie Taylor Greene is a sellout. She is just trying to get her pension and trying to, most likely, going to write a book.
Right. So she's lying.
I don't believe anything that woman says.
All right. Did you believe what she said before?
No, I didn't.
No. Okay, understood. Do you think it's kind of strange when you just believe everything one side says, and you think the other side are Nazis and criminals? And isn't that kind of against the whole principle that you're trying to espouse, where you want people to accept the idea of forgiving those who've wronged you and accepting the faults of man, and having issues with like the things that Donald Trump has done, I'm sure, but you believe that he's a good man at heart and that people should believe in that. That's why he's a good president. Like, aren't these principles kind of counterproductive to the message you're selling with the book that you're referring to?
Not at all.
Okay. All right. So if you had it your way, what would you do with like the Democrats and the Bill and Hillary Clinton? You would lock them all up?
I would try to have a sit-down meeting where we could discuss and iron out all the issues.
Okay. But earlier you said you would lock up Bill and Hillary Clinton up. Would you have a sit down with them, or would you just lock them up?
Have a sit-down.
You would have a sit down and have a conversation with them?
Yes.
Okay. So when you're having a conversation and focusing on the issues, do you think in a conversation that you're having with a person, it's better to kind of make these broad brush acclamations of these people, or do you think it's better to kind of discuss the topics in hand?
It's important to discuss the topics at hand.
Okay. And when you're discussing the topics at hand, I'm the only reason why I keep on asking questions is it's fascinating to me, your willingness to kind of purely believe these kind of notions. And then when I ask like where you get your evidence from, you don't know where it comes from, or it comes from sources that you believe sometimes, but not all the time. And I'm willing to engage in the conversation itself. But I'm just not seeing that same willingness on your end in particular. There's just some kind of inconsistency there that I'm just don't know where it comes from. What do you think?
Well, I have a feeling that that's your frame of mind, no matter what.
No matter what. Why do you think that?
That's pretty much the Democratic mantra is they don't believe anything that the opposite side says.
I'm not a Democrat.
If you say so.
You don't believe me?
There's nothing throughout this conversation that would lead me to believe that you aren't.
You think all Democrat, if you don't like Trump, you're a Democrat?
Not necessarily.
Okay. I don't like Trump, but I'm not a Democrat.
Well, what would you call yourself then?
Independent.
Well, you have a strong hatred of Trump, so I'm not sure you would be a credible source to be independent.
Well, because Trump does bad things from my perspective, right?
Okay, what has he done good?
Well, very little things he does that are good recently.
That's exactly my point.
But when it comes down to things that he said recently, I'm like, if you go through it, I probably would be on board with it. Is like the idea that he will ban certain investors from big investors from buying up all the homes. I'm like, if you go through with it, as long as it's through the legal process, I'll be all for that. I'll give you a thumbs up. He also is trying to ban credit card companies from raising credit interest rates above 10%. I was like, if you go through that under the legal process, I'll be all for that. So those are things he said. We'll see if it gets implemented in its entirety. There are things that I'm an advocate for. His methods are not the greatest, but the idea that some of the NATO countries that are becoming a little bit more independent, probably against U.S. interests because we don't have as much influence over these NATO countries, but these European countries become much more sovereign and much more reliant on their own merit, which is a good thing from them and probably is good for just world stability instead of having one domineering power. So those are a few things that I kind of put right out there. Is there anything that you think the Democrats do well?
No.
Okay. You see the difference between my response and your response?
I was a Democrat for most of my life until I had my experience with the law, and it shifted completely.
Okay. So you don't see the difference between my response and your response?
I don't.
So did you hear what I said?
I did.
Was that things that was praising Trump or no?
It wasn't praising Trump. It was things that you see as helpful for your situation. Whether it was a Democrat or Republican that did it, it wouldn't really matter.
So how's that not praising Trump if he's the one who did it?
Well, if you say so.
But what do you mean? How's that not praising Trump?
I guess it is.
Okay. So if it is praising Trump, do you see the difference between my response and your response?
I've had a lot more life experience than you have.
Okay. But is there a difference between your response and my response? Your response and my response? Because you said nothing. There's nothing you can think of, and I named 3 things. You can't name a single thing from the Democrats?
I don't think so.
Okay. So if you have like all these characterizations and you can't name a single thing Democrats do well, and you have all these justifications for Trump, don't you think that is cult-like? Like the
No, absolutely not. I'm a free thinker.
Okay. What makes that different from how the Democrats are in your point of view? What's the difference between the two?
Every single Democrat votes the same. You will never, very rarely, other than John Fetterman, that's the only Democrat that doesn't vote along party lines.
Are there MAGA that don't vote party lines?
Yeah, Josh Hawley, Rand Paul.
Okay.
Then you have Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski.
Okay. What about the Democrats that didn't vote party lines to end the government shutdown?
I understand that. Yes, there were a
Mhm.
few.
So they
However,
don't.
they were in states where they could be primaried.
Okay, but that would mean that all Democrats don't vote party lines, right?
Very rarely do Democrats not vote party lines.
Is it not rare that all Republicans don't vote party lines?
Almost always there's Republicans that don't vote party lines.
Okay. Okay. Um that's interesting. So you think that this happens a lot, or do you think like maybe one or two Republicans, like how many Republicans do you think don't vote in line with what Trump tells them to do?
Trump isn't telling them what to do.
Okay. Okay. So
Have you ever thought about running for office?
have I thought? Yeah, I've thought about it.
Okay. Why not do it?
Too young. I'll do it eventually when I'm older.
So you want to put it off?
Yep.
Why?
Because I want to do it when I'm older.
How old? 65?
No, probably 40s.
I mean, this is a great time to get in office when you're younger.
No, I got other stuff I have to do. I got to build up the resume. Got to get out there a little bit more before you have enough knowledge and wisdom to actually be into politics.
Oh, I thought you had all the wisdom and knowledge. That's what you led me to believe.
Say that again.
I thought you had all the wisdom and knowledge. That's what you've led me to believe.
Well, I have more than most MAGA, but just because of that doesn't mean I have enough.
What will be enough knowledge for you to feel like you can run?
When I have enough perspective and understanding on politics, how it works, how to help the people.
How are you going to get that without being in Washington?
Well, there's more to the world than just Washington. Talking to people, entering it from local, rising up to federal, understanding the different things that happen in your district, your community, your cities, how it's affecting different people, what people are thinking. There's so much different layers. It's to understand politics. It's more of a bottom up structure, or it should be, versus just having all the wealth and thinking about it from an elite status. That's probably not the best way to look at how to help the people when you already live in this privileged environment. How do you know what the people think if you've never been around them? That sounds pretty
Well,
counterproductive.
yes. What politician is not privileged? Name one.
What politician is not privileged?
Yes.
Did I make the claim that politicians are not privileged?
No. I'm saying you want to rise up and be of the people, but yet most
Mhm.
of the people that are in office are wealthy.
Most of the politicians in office are wealthy. That's not true.
Oh, absolutely, it is. What
Not
politician in office is not very wealthy?
a lot of the people who work in local and state politics
Oh no,
are.
no. I mean on the national level. I apologize for the confusion. On the national level.
On the national level. Um, well, that's a different question. There's a lot of them on the national level that are part of like the political circles that understand certain things, have, dare I say, insider trading, or have connections to famous families like the Kennedys or the Trumps. That's different. But politics is more than the national level, right?
It is,
Hmm.
but a lot of it gets done at the national level, and the recognition is done more at the national level than at the state level, if you really think about it.
The recognition national level, most of the things done is at the local level.
Correct.
Right. So that answers your question. In order to really understand what people are going through, you have to understand local politics. Right.
State are you in?
I'm in Ohio.
Okay.
So
Ohio is a very purple state.
No, more red, turning purple because of how bad the Republicans have been doing here. So it's changing. Um, but ultimately, I just will. My thing is, I understand dissatisfaction, right? I understand how people end up where they are, especially in a situation where they feel like the system has failed you. And it's easy to blame the people in charge or the people that seem to be in charge in your case, whereas the system failed you. You would say the system was filled with Democrats. The Republicans have been shifted to MAGA, so you can't even blame Republicans nowadays. It's Trump has completely changed the party. So you look for an outside structure to change everything to create a better system that kind of helps you from everything that you've been through. I can sympathize with that. I do think it's very flawed in terms of the person you chose to be the ones to help you and save you. So, but
I,
regardless,
I'm looking to help and save me is Jesus Christ.
right. So
I don't
my
look to an individual to help and save me.
right. So ultimately, like I sympathize with like this kind of mindset. But my biggest question for
It's reality. I live in reality, not fantasy land.
right. My biggest question for you is what has Trump done for you as an individual that has made your individual life better as of yet?
He's lowered gas prices.
No, he hasn't.
Okay.
Do you think the president can lower gas prices?
He can open up wells and natural resources to lower gas prices. Absolutely.
So you think the president can force gas prices changes consistently? So why do they change so frequently? Do you think that's the president making that happen?
That's the stations trying to extort the common people. It's a
So
monopoly. I mean, we have a monopoly in Vermont that's controlled by 3 or 4 stations that monopolize the price. That's why our prices are still over $3.
so why doesn't Trump force them below $3?
It's an independent business. You can't force any place to lower their prices. Just like you can't force a restaurant to lower their prices.
Right. So with that said, Trump did not lower the gas prices.
He's opened up different resources
Okay.
to use the oil that's in this country instead of farming it out to other countries.
Yeah, he's definitely pro oil for sure, but that's not proof that it's lowering gas prices, as you
Okay,
said.
well, how come every time a Democrat's been in power, gas has been astronomical?
Well, the only time recently we're referring to like gas prices with like the Biden administration
And
is
the Obama administration was sky high as well.
no, as his presidency was lowering when he was recovering from the astronomical, disgusting crash that happened. No, gas prices were lowering. So, but I don't attribute it to the president. I don't. I think it's flawed to just look at the president for like control of gas prices. A lot of external factors play into it. So, if we understand that the president is not lowering the gas prices, like what else? What other things has Trump done for you individually that's helped your life?
He's rounded up illegals.
How has that helped your life?
It's given jobs that were stolen away from illegals who came here illegally back to
Right.
the American people.
Has that helped you get a job?
Yes.
So there's a job you got that was allowed for you because an illegal immigrant got taken out?
Well, I can't draw that conclusion. That's a huge leap of.
Okay. So that at that point, him rounding up illegal immigrants haven't helped you individually. So what other things?
Well, they're taking away from other benefits, healthcare benefits, tying up emergency services, tying up welfare, and getting extra help.
Has that helped you with your benefits?
No, it hasn't. but it lowers costs.
So him rounding up illegal immigrants lowered cost of what?
Living.
So has your rent lowered? Okay. So what other things?
What other things has he done?
Yeah, for you individually. Like, how has he helped your life?
I don't think any president has helped my life substantially.
Has you helped your life at all?
I don't think any president has helped my life substantially.
Okay. So if Donald Trump hasn't really helped your life, why are you so willing to think that he's any different from any other past president?
Because he's doing a lot for our country to bring jobs back to America.
Okay, but how is this helping you?
It's not necessarily helping me. It may be helping other people.
Okay. So it's Donald Trump hasn't done anything in particular to help you.
Well, Joe Biden has done nothing for me.
I'm not telling you to root for Joe Biden.
Right. But you keep pigeonholing me to Trump, and
right.
I don't understand that.
Well, because when it comes to Trump supporters, they are so locked and key to kind of believe and put this.
So are Biden people. So are Democrats. Absolutely no question.
A lot of people think that Biden was old and decrepit and didn't do his job right.
I've never once heard that.
Well, I've heard it from a lot of people. So a lot of people had issues with Joe Biden and his presidency. Quite a lot, actually. It's just fun and interesting. So, all right. Now we kind of rounding things up. What do you want to see moving forward in terms of like politicians to kind of improve your life? I think for the most part, I know some things might resonate with you after this conversation. Some things may go one ear out the other, but I do think it's very important to think about like what actually is happening to your reality that you think you want to be improved. Maybe you're fine with your current life now. Maybe you're fine with how America currently is, but
I'm not happy with how America is. It's so divided. There's so much hatred.
Okay. I agree there's so much hatred, and it's very unfortunate. Do you think I was being hateful to you in this conversation?
I do.
Okay. Do you think it's hateful to call Democrats Nazis?
I call a spade a spade.
Okay. So what's the difference between me, how I was acting, and you calling Democrat Nazis?
I'm calling it as I see it. What would you like me to call
them? Not Nazis.
They call Trump a Nazi. They call everybody who voted for Trump Nazis.
So, do you act based on how other people are acting?
I don't.
Okay. So, is there a difference between how like I've been acting to you versus how you calling Democrats Nazis?
I just call it a spade a spade. I told you that.
You call a spade a spade. So you call them Nazis because you think they are Nazis.
I think they just do whatever their leaders are tell them to do. Mm-hmm. And they don't think for themselves, and they don't care. They don't have principles.
Okay.
And there are very few exceptions. John Fetterman is an exception.
Right.
But there are not many others.
And all your criticisms of Democrats do not apply to MAGA.
I've been critical of some MAGA as well.
Like who?
Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Rand Paul.
Have you been critical?
Taylor Greene.
I'm seeing a pattern with the people. Have you been critical to Trump?
I think that there are things that he could improve on. Yeah.
So have you been critical with Trump,
I'm critical with everybody.
including Trump?
Yes.
What have you been critical with Trump for?
About the way he says things,
Like what?
cursing.
So when he's cursing, you're critical.
Yes.
Are there anything else he does that makes you critical?
I don't think so.
Okay. Wouldn't this be the same way of like Democrats just listen to their politician leaders? Wouldn't that be the same principle if you're not critical towards Trump?
If you say so.
What's the difference?
There is no difference.
So, wouldn't if someone called you a Nazi, how would you feel?
They do all the time.
How do you feel about that?
I don't care what other people think of me. What other people think of me is none of my business.
So, do you call them a Nazi because they call you a Nazi?
I don't engage with people that don't know what they're talking about.
Okay. So, you don't engage with them. They call you a Nazi, and you call them a Nazi. You say, I see a spade. Your reasoning is because they just listen to their political leaders. And if I'm seeing the same thing from how you're explaining it, you don't call out, you don't criticize Trump. You listen to Trump. You believe Trump. Like
I do. Yes, he's very honest.
But what is the difference between how you describe the Democrats and how you're acting?
Because all the Democrats are paid. They're paid protesters. Every single protester that's out there is paid.
So the difference between you and Democrats
supporters go out, they're not being paid. They're free thinkers.
So the difference between you and Democrat supporters is because they're getting paid.
Right. And I'm a free thinker. I'm not getting paid.
So if you were getting paid,
podcast.
So if you were getting paid, you would be a Nazi.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay. So if you were getting paid, you would be like the Democrats.
I wouldn't even come close to being a Democrat.
Right. So you said the Democrats all fall in line. The difference between the Democrats and the Republicans is that even if they just listen and don't criticize their person, they're not getting paid like the Democrats. So the Democrats are getting paid, Republicans aren't getting paid. So if to make them similar, the Republicans would have to start getting paid like the Democrats, right?
Sure.
So how do you feel about the organizations that do get paid by MAGA supporters?
Like what? Name one.
TPUSA.
That's not being paid.
What is it?
Absolutely not being paid.
What is it?
It's not. It's a volunteer organization.
No, MAGA billionaires pay into that organization.
Name one MAGA billionaire that pays into that organization.
I know for a fact there is one. I think he's associated with either one of the sports teams. Oh man, I don't remember his name off the top of my head. It's either the Sixers or the Commanders that pay into it. Much of like rich people. I know, for example, what you can do, because I don't remember their names off the top of my head. I could research it real quick. I won't at the moment. But there is a video people can go watch. It's from a guy named Pablo Torre. They did a whole expose on Riley Gaines is her name, and how she rose in prominence in terms of the whole Lisa Thomas stuff. And what happened is like a lot of the events that she started going, she started changing and hyperbolizing her story. And come to find out that people were sending money to her and the organization she's creating were MAGA supporters that were like very, very rich, trying to push very anti-LGBTQ agendas. So they were using Riley as a funnel to push this agenda by sending her money individually. So that's just an example, easy thing to find out and research yourself if you don't believe me. The whole stuff about Riley Gaines and where she got her money. So that's just an example of a MAGA person getting paid by rich MAGA people to start doing things. So that's an example.
Right.
I do apologize. I can't name them from name because it's been a while, but I know I can source it and find this source pretty easily.
Okay,
Okay. If you want, I can send you the source.
you can.
Okay. Will you look at it?
I will.
All right. All right. So that's an example of like a MAGA getting paid. So would they be the same as the Democrats?
Not even close.
Okay. And what's the difference?
You keep going back to that. What's the difference? You're talking about one. I mean, I haven't even researched this, so I'm not going to make any claims about it.
Okay. Do you have examples of Democrats getting paid?
Oh yeah, a lot.
Like who?
I didn't come here prepared to that. I came here to share my story. That's not why I came on the show.
Okay. All right. And I know you came here to share your story, and I was more than willing to.
Not much at all.
We didn't because I wanted to understand you. You
But
tried.
that's what happens when you're on a Democratic podcast. Is what the guests came to talk about never ends up happening. So,
Well, again, I'm not a Democrat, and two,
you keep saying you are, but you aren't. But you are. Democrats are always hostile towards anybody who doesn't fall in line with them.
Well, that's not true.
I've been on other podcasts with Democrats too, and it's always the same situation.
Okay, so when it comes down to like me, I've had 3 MAGA people on before, and we'd had conversations about the topics we were talking about. And I've had people that were much more left leaning, had conversations, and I don't agree with them all the time. So the thing is, when it comes down to a conversation, knowing that you're about to dive into this, I don't know how much you listen to my podcast.
I haven't.
I haven't. Well, I mean, if you're going to come into a conversation and try to understand the other point of view, then this is just something that's kind of par for the core, right? Like questioning where the foundations of your principles lie is kind of par for the core to really make sure your story being put out there has a level of substance behind it that people can really understand and appreciate.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, no problem. It seems like, there wasn't a lot of agreement, but it is what it is. Anything else you'd like to say before you head out?
Nope.
All right. Well, that said, you have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is all for that guest podcast episode. That went pretty much as I expected. Someone said, how many of these maggots are getting paid to stop now? Yeah, it's I try to be as fair as possible. I was just asking questions. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't being like rude. I was just as well. I was being rude sometimes, but I was just asking questions. I was really trying to understand. And it's just like there's this unwillingness to kind of go and like accept where you're at. It was kind of unfortunate. I really tried. I was like, I think I'm reaching him. I was reaching to that point where I was like, I think I'm having him understand. I think I have him here. Maybe we could find common ground here. And then he would just wouldn't be there. I'm a jerk. I am a jerk. I'm not nice. I never claimed to be a nice guy. But if you're going to have these opinions, you have to be able to substantiate it, right? You got to be able to substantiate it. And he came out really strong. I think what brought this on for me is that we're having the conversation, and I wanted to understand how he became a Trump supporter. And the crazy thing is, he started out immediately saying that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton should have been locked up and that Democrats are Nazis. The moment he said that, I kind of changed my tune. I was like, okay, all right, let's kind of dive into it now, because that's such an extreme stance, and there's a weird there's a weird kind of uh dichotomy between making these claims about Hillary and Bill and Democrats and then saying that I'm creating a book for acceptance and forgiveness. And I was really more curious to find out, like, how are you gay a Christian and Trump supporter? I wanted to find out like how that happened. And then his points just started making no sense to me. So I had to extrapolate it. It just wasn't making sense to me. So I had to do what I did. I didn't want to be the I didn't want to be super mean, but yeah, it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out. But man, those clips are gonna be brutal, huh? Those clips are gonna be kind of brutal, huh? Those clips are gonna be kind of brutal. You know? All right. With that said, I have to go to a birthday party. So I have to go to my niece's birthday party. So I have to head out. Appreciate everybody who tuned in. Appreciate everybody who's listening to the podcast episode, of course. These are appear audio format Tuesday, 8 a.m. EST. I've been zero accountability in the right. I was trying, man. I was trying to get that out of him. I was trying to make him see like where he went wrong. What did this guy say? Never be another group of tap dog for their agenda. You are way too intelligent for that, and the money will come your way. Trust me. A tap dog for their agenda? For whose agenda? I'm not a tap dog for anybody's agenda. I'm a tap dog for my own agenda. I don't really care about anybody else's agenda. As soon as he brought up the Clinton conspiracy, I knew he was kind of conspiracy brain. So, yeah, it's just, hey, man, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I am very mean to MAGA. Don't get me wrong. Like, a lot of people hear me kind of flame them all the time, and I troll MAGA all the time. But when I'm having a conversation, I don't enter that mode, because I'm just trying to like understand and really figure out like what is going on here. And yeah, it just didn't really go as well. But I guess I wasn't surprised. Maybe something clicked in his mind later on. Maybe it's because we're on stream that he didn't want to engage properly. I'm not sure. But appreciate everybody who tuned into the podcast.